Mr. 845 social media and events.
Hey everybody, it's Mr. 845 here. I'm interviewing another small business owner. Tara, tell us who you are and what do you do?
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much, Mr. 845, for having me and giving me some time. I am Tara Cirigliano of Tara Cirigliano Photography. I own a boutique photography business in Hopewell Junction, New York.
All right, awesome. So first and foremost, how I always like to start my interviews is just to make sure that we get your contact information, because if people don't, they lose track of time and they don't follow through the whole video, I want to at least make sure that they can contact you. So if they wanted to work with you and they wanted to do something with you, how would they go about doing that?
So they can follow me on either Facebook or Instagram at my name, which is Tara Cirigliano Photography, or my website, which is taraciriglianophotography.com, or they could text or call me. I get on the phone with everyone who calls and is interested, so that I can give you is 914-204-1985.
It makes it nice and simple when everything's like the same. Unlike myself, which is all over the place all the time. But so you do a lot of stuff when it comes to photography. I just wanted to kind of see where you landed, right? So a lot of times photographers that I've interviewed, they give me like specific genres that they like to utilize for their business. Are you in any specific genre, or is it kind of like all rounds of photography?
So I do a bunch of things, but I am very different from most photographers. I know that photographers are everywhere, especially in this county, in the Hudson Valley area. And when I started my business a few years ago, I wanted to be a little different. I realized that there was a hole in the market for people actually producing products and helping their clients create what they eventually would have in their home. So I actually create all the artwork for my clients. They do get, anything that they purchase from me, they'll get digital files to share on social media. But what I was finding was that most people were spending a lot of money. They were investing in photo sessions, they're investing in getting new outfits, their hair done, their makeup done, all these things. They would get their portraits taken and they would end up nowhere. They would end up on a backup drive. They'd end up, on their phone. And right now, I mean, let's be honest, everyone is walking around with a camera in their pocket. So photography seems like this is the most photographed generation pretty much of our time, but where are these portraits going? So as I had some personal loss in my life and realized that photographs were like the one thing you can cling to, like where do I find those years later if they're on a backup drive that my computer doesn't plug into anymore, or on a phone that broke? So I really specialize in large wall portraits, albums, things like that, that my families will pass down for generations. They're all custom created to the families. I like to create the sessions around things that they love, because I really want them to represent them as a whole. I don't want to meet you in a park for 30 minutes, one that's really awkward for everyone involved. A lot of kids, a lot of husbands, I should say, sometimes don't like to take portraits. And so I really like to get to know my families. I talk to them on the phone. We do a consultation. I come to their home. I help them pick out locations for the portraits, outfits they're going to wear. Then we go to specific places that maybe mean something to them, or if they, they just know they're an outdoorsy family, we'll do it outdoors. If they're not, we do it indoors. I really customize everything. So it is an investment in time also with me, because I really get to know them and then create something that, they're going to come into their home after a long, hard day and get goosebumps no matter what kind of day they had, because they can feel the love. And
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's important to save the memories, right? That's kind of like, and if you guys need anybody to help you with those drive backups, or I know a guy, just saying.
Yeah.
But it's important to have them printed out, right? I mean, especially if you took the time to pay a photographer. The work sitting on a computer screen definitely doesn't do it justice when it's printed. A lot of times you'll see that the photography in pixels, right, looks a hell of a lot better when it's printed than when you have it on a computer screen, because of, computer screens are not, they're kind of like, interlaced, and they basically have a scan that they do, while a portrait that she's talking about is like right there in your face, and it's not something that's scanning, so it captures all the colors and the beauty of it. So I definitely applaud you on that. So basically it's all different rounds of photography. So between like families, weddings, all that stuff, or
I
like
don't
you
do
got a
weddings. I
specific.
focus mostly on families and teens, seniors, senior portraiture. I do pets as well. I actually am running a dog competition right now that will actually might be over by the time this airs, but it
Yeah,
is
yeah.
it's to benefit local animal shelters. I do dog portraits and then we put the dogs up against each other to see who's the cutest.
Yeah.
But it's really to create portraits of dogs too, so that they're not forgotten.
And if you guys
Everything,
have seen this, if you see this before this airs, and you want her to run another one, I'm sure that if there's enough want, she's willing to do it. But I
this
won't
is
put
my
money
fourth
in it.
year doing it. Yeah,
Yeah,
everybody loves it. It's, I mean, who doesn't love cute pictures of dogs, right? And
yeah,
they're
yeah.
set up like they're humans. And sometimes they get forgotten. And honestly, dogs do not live usually as long as humans. So it's nice to have those memories. And I want to, families to have legacies of everyone when kids grow up and leave their homes, like there to be something left behind of their time there and, different stages in their life. Um, but yeah, so I do mostly, I love doing tweens and kid empowerment also. Kids, especially now, their confidence really drops between those ages of like 10 and 13. And to have like those empowering images that I didn't have as a child. I had, a J.C. Penney portrait with my family all in like matching sweaters. And though great to have now, it didn't really represent what my family looked like. It didn't represent anything that I loved. I didn't have like an empowering softball portrait or something that I loved to do that one day I could hang in my office and like, think back and think how proud I was and how cool I really was at 13, even though
Yeah.
nobody thinks they're cool.
Yeah. Now you mean those flannel sweaters? They didn't really
Yes,
call out and say,
all of them.
amazing person you were, right?
Right. The family's like red sweater, blue sweater.
Yeah, yeah. And believe it or not, this actually going as a trend on TikTok to do things like that,
I
those awkward
saw
portraits.
that.
So I'm sure
To
that you would still
recreate
do
them.
it
Yeah,
if they wanted it, but it's just funny
absolutely.
how like people try to do those callbacks, if you will.
Yes.
So when it comes to like photography, it's important to kind of get like the idea of the photographer, where you stand with different works of art and how you print things out. Um, the biggest thing that I always ask photographers is like, is this something that you always wanted to do with yourself, or is this kind of like something that you kind of fell into, right? So where was your passion when you first started
A
getting into
little of both.
photography? Okay.
So I've always had the passion for photography, took classes in high school, like it was always a hobby. And I actually, to be honest, was working in television production for over 20 years in New York City and came back here with 3 children, bought the house, the American dream, and was like, what am I going to do? And so I started working for somebody else, doing weddings and all those things. And I think that's what actually created what my business is now, is seeing where there were holes, right? Seeing that like what people were doing. And I was watching people print portraits in places that should not print portraits,
Mm-hmm.
like local, maybe chain drugstores, things like that, where they just don't have the capacity to do it and they're not going to last forever. And I never really thought too hard about it. I didn't think like, hey, I want to own my own business until COVID had hit and I was kind of out of work because weddings were not happening. And I was working for a wedding photographer. And I thought, you know what, maybe there's a better way. And I started researching and I got myself a business coach and said, you know what, this has always been ingrained in me. Why not? Let's try it. Let's
Yeah.
see, there's a need for it. So let's see what we can do with it.
Yeah, no, I mean it's awesome to see like where different people come from when they pull that trigger, if you will. So
Yeah,
it's great to hear the story and kind of like get a call back, if you will.
right.
So when it comes to photography, is it like all over the Hudson Valley that you would go, or is there specific parameters that you kind of, hey,
I
let's
would
stay
go
in this area?
anywhere.
Okay.
You want to fly me to Jamaica to take your pictures on the beach? I will do it.
There you go. I mean, she says if you guys want to take a picture in Montego Bay, she's willing to go if you're willing to pay. So,
Absolutely. And
but
that goes for anywhere, wherever you
yeah,
want to go. I have friends
yeah.
that are being flown to like Dubai to take portraits. That's part of the fun,
Wow,
part of the
that's cool.
adventure. It
Yeah.
depends, what people are looking for.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably say that that's a rare occasion to have somebody say, you know what, I just need a photographer to come to Dubai with me. Can you just come with me? And
Absolutely. It is. You know what? It happens a lot with like branding though, because I do like branding and headshots and things like that. That sometimes is more of a place where people want specific looks. And, depending on what their business is, sometimes that works out.
Oh, that's, I mean, I know what business owners are sometimes a little finicky, but now are you the one that kind of like tells them, no, you need to do it this way, turn this way, head that way, and then kind of get all that, or they kind of give the demand?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, so most people that work with me, like we've gotten to know each other, so I can kind of read, what kind of person they are. But
Mhm.
most times people are looking to me for the help. Like I've never really had somebody come to me and be like, no, I think this will look better. They're
Uh-huh.
usually like, well, what do you think? Yeah, and gives me the opportunity to be like, well, let's try it this way. And I've even so much as done it their way and then done it my way and like shown them, and they're like, oh yeah, you're right, that does look better. Just little tweaks sometimes make all the difference. And they don't know that.
Yeah, trust me. Lighting and f-stop, and they're like, what?
Yeah.
So
No, I want to face this way. I'm like, no, you don't.
yeah, well, my wife does that to me all the time. She's like, not down, up, up,
Yeah.
up,
Yeah, and
but
people's like, this feels weird. I'm like, it's gonna feel weird, but it's gonna look amazing.
yeah, there you go. So now with the media portion, right? So that you're taking these photos and you're taking it to an actual platform of like an actual media. Is this something that you print on site, or is it something that you get custom made? And then like what offerings do you have? Do you have like
So, yep,
frames? Like what do you got?
I can do anything that someone is looking for, but what I found is that most people don't know. They don't know the
Okay.
difference. So I don't do in-house. I use professional labs that are all museum grade. So they're gonna last forever. They're like the best mats. And sometimes I also educate my clients because people say, oh, I'm going to this box store and I'm going to get my own mat and it's going to be acid free. I'm like, it says that, but let me tell you a little bit. Like actually there's acid inside of that mat. Like there's none on the top, there's none on the bottom, but years from now when you're trying to give that to your grandkids, it might not look so great, and this is why. So I educate them on all of the archival products that I use through other labs, but I can do pretty much anything. But I will tell you that the most common things that people look for are
Mhm.
albums and canvases. And they
Okay.
do really cool things now with framing canvases. I have some samples in the back, and like that is literally like a canvas print in an actual frame. They also make, wrapped canvases with frames, and there's really some cool stuff they do now. Metals, which sounds a little different than it looks. But depending on what the image is of, sometimes it lends itself to a specific medium. Like a really empowering sports image looks
Mhm.
awesome on a metal.
Sports card. Yep,
Yeah.
definitely. I can definitely see. And there he is.
Yeah.
You so those are some things that like not a lot of people understand. So it's great to see that you're informing the client, because they may not know that the box chains might not use the best paper, or they might not know that the box chains, like that guy today was like, I don't really care, I'm just going to stuff the paper in backwards, and they
Right.
don't really take the care that they would, that a small business owner who's done the research would take. So that's something that's like a kudos to you. And now when it comes to actually signing up for these sessions, is it something that you book in advance, or is it something where like if I called you tomorrow we could schedule something for the weekend? Like how long in advance would you say would be a perfect time to call for, like whatever genre that they were looking for?
Yeah, I'm as long as we have time to discuss it, I usually talk to the people on the phone. We could do it, today for tomorrow if that had to be the case. That's not an issue. We could do it today for June, depending. But I usually have a phone call, which I call like a consultation, and then either come to their house or I can meet people somewhere. I like to go to their houses because it's helpful when they're like, I have all these walls, I don't know what to do, and I don't know what, if I'm shooting for like an image, they want a family portrait over their couch. It's good to know because I'm necessarily not gonna do it, horizontally if they're, if the space needs a vertical image or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's nice to go there. Sometimes I don't. I like them to be in the know of like that it is an investment, what it costs. Like I want them to kind of have a plan going in also, because then going in, I want to know like what are we actually taking pictures for? Like, is this session to be a family and like all of their relationships together, or are we like really focusing on grandma? Are we really, you know, focusing on the 13-year-old and their sport? Like, so I just, as long as I can get like to speak to them and communicate with them and make a little plan, then we have enough time.
Yeah, I want to get an idea, because some business owners, they have to plan, and so it's good to know like what the flexibility is. When it comes to photography, a lot of times they will say, okay, I want these specific locations, and they're like, okay, I, I'm not sure where this is the best spot. Now, like, I don't know, like with Dutchess County and stuff like that, I don't know, if I know you could go other places, but are there some key spots that you would kind of call like, these are some amazing spots that I've taken some people?
You want me to give away my secrets?
No, I'm just saying.
No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Honestly, the truth is any spot could be amazing
Mhm.
because depending on what it is, like I focus on relationships with people. And yes, backgrounds are awesome and, you know, bricks are cool here and buildings are cool over here. But for the most part, if I'm doing a family session, I want the relationship between the people. And sometimes some of my favorite images are done in somebody's backyard, like
Mhm.
just because that's where they feel comfortable. Yes, there's plenty of amazing places. There's plenty of amazing parks and historical sites and all those kind of things that you can go to. And I've done some things with empowerment with little girls with like really fancy dresses, and we've gone, you know, to the mansions and like things like that. Um, but really, there's no like secret spot, I don't think. I think anything could be amazing
I
if
mean, I mean, the Hudson Valley is a great place. I'm just saying, but
yeah,
yeah,
well,
I
it
get
is. It's amazing. I'm also happen to be a tourism ambassador, so I'm like
it.
pro Dutchess County too.
Yeah, and so with also your photography seasons, right?
Yeah,
Do you pick like I know that you have the I believe it's the Pooch
huge
playoff
playoffs.
that
Yep.
is just has passed. Or at least when this airs, it'll be passing.
Yes.
Um, or it have passed already, I should say. It's like future, past, present. Um,
Yeah.
but now, do you have specific events that you do at certain times or certain intervals, or is it kind of like a hodgepodge where if the person just wants a horror like scene or a picture like with the family and they're into horror or something like that, and they want to like one of those photos, but they want it in July, or is it
Yeah,
kind of like
we could do that.
okay,
So, so like because I am creating them, I don't necessarily do, I think what you're trying to ask me is more like, I don't do what some people call mini sessions.
mm,
I don't rush people. I don't have like, hey, you have 30 minutes and then the next person's coming in 30 minutes. Like you won't see me doing that ever
okay,
because I don't think that's helpful to anybody. I think it's stressful. I think it's stressful, not so much to me, but I've been the other person in that. And like, imagine having little kids and being told you have 20 minutes and like you're as the parent is like freaking out
and they're
because
just bawling.
they're just bawling, right? And then you've paid all this money and like you dress them up and you're sweating because you're trying to get there on time and like you got this much. I you know, that's why I think I also created the business the way I did. And you know what, it is more of an investment than other people because of that. But I want to give you my time. I want to give you the opportunity to create something that you're going to treasure forever.
Yeah.
And like I can see the relationship. You know, some people don't get to see like a mom and their kid or a husband and a wife. You know, you don't see your own face and how you look at those people unless it is shown back to you.
Hmm.
And it's really awesome to get them in a position where they're so comfortable that they'll do that for you and you can capture it. I can't tell you how many times people are like looking at the images and they're just crying because they're like, that's so amazing. And usually they don't, like parents sometimes are like, I don't want to be in the picture. And I'm like,
Hmm.
well, one, the images are not for you. In the end, you're going to be gone one day, and these are going to be what's left. So your kids want to see you now. Like they don't care if you're 20 pounds overweight. You are what they know as their parent, and you know they'd rather have them than not have them.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. It's I'm trying not to think about it because it's being a parent myself, it adds to that. So yeah, I can definitely see what you're saying, and it's important for people to understand that, right? So having those consultations, and that's kind of like what I was asking, is not necessarily a mini session, but like seasonal items, like, if somebody's doing like, mom's, dad's grads, right? So
Yeah.
Mother's Day, Father's Day, graduation, summer vacation, just 4th of July, do you have like those type of seasonals, kind of like this pooch event?
Yeah.
Do you have things like that as well, or is it just strictly where, I know that you customize for the client,
Right.
but do you have those available
So
to people?
I have not done very many of them like, well, we're only going to do this, mommy and me now.
Mhm.
Is if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, yeah,
The push event is a big undertaking and it's a lot of like local business sponsors and all that kind of stuff. So doing too many of those in a year would probably make me lose my mind also.
yeah,
Um, but yes, I will promote that now is a great time to get generational photos around Mother's Day. Like if you're lucky enough to have your grandmother still here and your mom still here and you like, why not? Right? It's a
yeah,
great gift for somebody. I don't think that there's any better gift, and I may be biased, but like you can spend $5 grand on a couch, and how long is your couch going to last, right? You could go to Pottery Barn and buy some pretty picture of tulips for $500, and how long do you want to keep that there? If
mhm,
you had an image of you, your mom, and your grandmother like laughing, just having a conversation, like I could like literally get emotional talking about it because I'm like, you can't put a
yeah,
price tag on that. And I think so during those specific times, yes. Do I promote that those are great things? Yes.
okay.
Sometimes people don't, yes,
No,
sometimes
but
people don't think about them. They're
I,
going to look at like flowers for their mom, and I'm like, your
yeah,
mom doesn't want the flowers.
yeah, yeah.
What
No,
she wants.
and I just want to be able to give people an idea, so that way, when they are working with you, that they could say, hey, these are some of the areas where we're at, can we work on this? Or, so it gives you the capability of you guys out there in the world listening in, that she's customizable, but then she's also, going to give you advice on like restrictions, right? So like, hey, you got people here, let's get everybody together.
Yeah,
Hey, there's a family reunion happening, let's get everybody together. It makes more sense to do it
exactly.
now than try to call people back and stuff like that. So
Holidays,
yeah.
holidays are big like that too, because kids are home from college and things like that. So I do promote like extended families at that time because you don't know like when, the next time everybody's going to be together. But the truth is, unless there's some other element that I can't control, I could do anything at any time. Like I can make it look like Christmas in July if we really needed to. But like the sunflowers, you want to be in a sunflower field, we're not doing that in May because it's
Mhm.
not going to happen. Like you want the apple orchard, going to be hard in April. So, those kind of things kind of lend themselves to the time also.
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly. So, those are the types of things I want people to make sure that they know, they understand, because, working with photography in certain time periods and stuff like that, it has to lend to, to you, the photographer who's more experienced, and say, it's not really the best time for this. We might
Yeah.
want to put this into this area or this time, that type of stuff. So it's great to be able to get that info from you. One of the last questions I usually ask business owners is, to kind of give the shout out to the legacy, if you will, right? So it's more of, you're a photographer, you're somebody that's been in the business for a while. What would you give the next person who may open up their photography business when they get old enough to want to do that stuff, right? So like they're out of high school, they didn't want to go to college, or they did go to college for it, and they want to start their own business. What are some key things of advice that you can give the next generation, if you will?
The first thing I would tell them is to get a business coach. Um, I think that money is never wasted, invested in yourself, your education, and learning more about you as a person. Honestly, I've learned more about myself as a person, I think, by having my business coach and being in a group of other like-minded people than I have, any class that I could have ever taken. Um, I also think you need to listen to people. I think by listening to where the needs are of people, you kind of can create what your business is or what you're willing to, give and what you're looking to do and what kind of gap you're looking to fill.
Mhm.
Um, and the last thing I would say is just do what everybody else is not doing. You know, don't just be one, you know, throw yourself into a crowd of people. Like you're going to stand out if you're just doing something different. And okay, I said last thing, but I'm going to say one more thing is like, do good. You know, if you can do well, like do good, like give back to people because it all comes back tenfold.
Yeah, awesome.
And it makes you
Yeah.
feel good at the same time.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, and that's the important part. You're not going to get these type of stories from the CEO of Amazon, right? You're going to get
Right.
these stories from the real life people that, live in the community, help support the community, help sponsor your kids' baseball team, that type of thing. So I wanted to make sure that people understand this. And that's kind of like how I do these interviews. And I want to make sure that, these are the things that come out, right? Especially like a lot of the things that you do for your pooch playoffs, right? I know. Is there a specific not-for-profit that you donate to during those times?
So actually, I started it 4 years ago, and my goal was to donate to a different one every year.
Awesome.
So far I've done Safe Haven in Hopewell, Care of Dutchess County in Wappingers, Hudson Valley Animal Rescue in Poughkeepsie, and this year is the Incredible Pups Pet Rescue in Poughkeepsie. It's actually a little smaller than the other ones.
Yeah.
But she was doing, Dana Jones is the person who started it, and she's doing outstanding things for the community. And so it was kind of a no-brainer to me. She's also a woman business owner, and actually all of those were women business owners as well, which just happened to be a coincidence, I guess. But yeah, the first year I did it, I went with the rescue that the dog that won my competition was rescued from. But I had my feelers out all year to see, who's doing what, and I kind of want to share the wealth.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, some of them are in my group, so I definitely know who they are, and it's awesome to hear of all the give back that you're doing and the great work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Is there anything last that you would like to leave us with, or just because I know you have those beautiful portraits behind you. I don't know if you wanted to show them off or not, but
I can.
yeah,
I,
let's take a look.
I don't know. I don't even know how you're going to be able to see them. This
It doesn't do them justice.
This is one of my favorites. This was in an art show this past year. This is Gracie, my little freckle-faced. This was a tween empowerment session that I did. I don't know if you are familiar with Pampered Pooch Grooming and Boutique in Poughkeepsie, but this is a portrait I did for her grand opening in May. Those are her two pups. These are one of my doggies, which is really
that's cool. See, like you could get something from TJ Maxx, right? But
right.
It's not the same as that if
No.
that's your pooch on there with the lettering. It's totally different.
Like this baby did not look like this for very long.
No,
look at the little faces and the
especially
little parts.
the little chubby faces. I get it. Yeah.
I know. So yeah, I mean, the only thing I would leave with people is, whether you have them professionally done or not, please take the pictures. Just take them, get in them, show them to people, put them up in your home. You got to fill my slogan is something called So Many Stories. It's something that my brother who passed away was one of the last things he said to us. And I think that's kind of where my business grew from, was like I realized people's families and lives are just full of so many stories. And when you can create that in your home, like you really take the house into the home and you can just, feel warm and cozy when you come inside.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. So Tara, thank you very much for allowing me to interview you. It's been awesome and amazing.
Yes.
Definitely, if you guys see her page, it's facebook.com, Tara, Tara,
Cirigliano.
Cirigliano. I knew I was going to slaughter it, so I wanted to make sure. So Cirigliano, right? Photography. Hopefully you guys can spell photography right.
Very long, but
yeah. But at least you guys can find her there. Make sure that you give her page a like and a follow. By doing that, it helps all these different small businesses that I'm interviewing grow and proliferate, being able to get their messages and their advertising out to you and the social media spaces. Again, these videos are going to be promoted on Wednesdays at noon. So check out our Facebook at Ramon Pinheiro, which is the Mr. 845 verified page. Or you could check us out on YouTube, which is YouTube at CE Avengers, which is my original YouTube page. I just haven't changed the name yet. But that being said, everybody, this is Mr. 845. I'm going to be hitting the streets, and you never know, I could find out that I found you a new favorite in the Hudson Valley. But that being said, everybody, thank you very much. Thank you, Tara, for allowing me to interview you.
Thank
And
you,
we'll
Ramon.
check you guys on the next one.
Bye, everybody.